Are you the master of your fate, or does the world dictate your path? Imagine a life where every challenge becomes an opportunity and every setback fuels your growth. This is the essence of the Stoic locus of control. Today, we'll unravel the secret to mastering your destiny, exploring a story of resilience and wisdom inspired by ancient Stoicism. Stick with us, because what you'll discover can transform your life. A montage of contrasting imagery, chaotic city streets versus serene landscapes, a person frustrated in traffic transitioning to someone journaling with calm determination. The locus of control is central to Stoic philosophy. It's a psychological concept about whether individuals believe outcomes are determined by their actions' internal locus or external forces like fate external locus. This aligns deeply with Stoicism's dichotomy of control, as articulated by Epictetus, which emphasizes focusing on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and reactions, while accepting what lies beyond your influence. The story of Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius offers a compelling example. Facing war, plague, and betrayal during his reign, he practiced Stoic principles daily, reminding himself through his writings in Meditations that he could only control his own mind and virtue, not the chaos surrounding him. This internal locus of control helped him maintain resilience and lead with wisdom. Even during Rome's most turbulent times, the same concept is echoed in contemporary psychology. By embracing an internal locus of control, people can reduce stress, increase resilience, and achieve personal growth. This concept is universally applicable, from handling workplace pressure to overcoming personal heartbreak. This hook sets the stage for a deep dive into how Stoic teachings on locus of control can help modern viewers navigate life's complexities. Let's dive into the core idea of the locus of control and its deep roots in Stoic philosophy. Picture two sailors, one battling the wind, cursing the storm, and blaming fate for his ship's direction, while the other adjusts his sails, harnessing the wind to reach his destination. This metaphor captures the essence of the locus of control. Are you passively swept by external forces, or do you navigate life with purpose, focusing on what you can control? Psychologists describe the locus of control as a spectrum. At one end lies the internal locus, where you believe your choices shape your destiny. At the other, the external locus, where you attribute outcomes to luck, fate, or others' decisions. Both extremes hold lessons. But Stoicism teaches us to focus on the internal, our actions, thoughts, and values, while acknowledging the external world as something we cannot change but must adapt to. Why does this matter today? In a world buzzing with distractions, from social media to constant news, we often feel powerless. The Stoics offer a remedy. Reclaim your power by mastering your inner world. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand this life-changing concept, but also learn how to apply it step by step to create your own path. The concept of control was at the heart of Stoic teachings. Epictetus taught that freedom comes not from controlling the world, but from understanding what is and isn't in our power. Marcus Aurelius echoed this in his Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These words guided him through unimaginable trials as a Roman emperor. But the Stoics were not detached or indifferent. They faced real challenges: wars, exile, slavery, and still emphasized action within one's control. For instance, Seneca, a statesman and philosopher, found himself exiled by Emperor Claudius. Rather than succumbing to despair, Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." He channeled his energy into writing and teaching, exercising the control he had over his inner state. Let's bring this ancient wisdom to life with a true story. During World War II, Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, exemplified the Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control. Despite unimaginable suffering in concentration camps, Frankl found freedom in his ability to choose his attitude. He later wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Frankl's internal locus of control didn't erase his suffering, but it gave him the strength to endure and help others find meaning, even in despair. This echoes the Stoic idea: life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, depending on how you interpret it. Reflect on this in your toughest moments. How did your mindset shape your response? Share in the comments below. Now, let's turn theory into practice. How can you cultivate an internal locus of control? Start with your language. Replace "I have to" with "I choose to." For example, instead of saying, "I have to go to work," say, "I choose to work to achieve my goals." Small changes like these shift you from feeling obligated to empowered. Heartbreak, betrayal, setbacks, these are inevitable, but suffering is optional. The Stoics and psychologists agree. By embracing an internal locus of control, you reclaim your power and create a life of resilience, peace, and purpose. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let's turn obstacles into stepping stones." Before you go, reflect. What's one area of your life where you can shift focus to what's within your control? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little Stoic wisdom today. Remember, the best way to control your future is to master your present. Sunset over calm waters with an inspiring quote overlay: "Man conquers the world by conquering himself." This script ensures a blend of philosophical depth, historical anecdotes, and actionable insights, keeping the audience engaged and motivated throughout. Locus of control is a concept that defines how we perceive the control we have over our lives. At its core, it's about where you place the responsibility for what happens to you. Those with an internal locus of control believe that their actions, decisions, and efforts directly influence their outcomes. For example, if they succeed in their career, they attribute it to their hard work and skill. On the other hand, those with an external locus of control believe outcomes are shaped by forces beyond their control: luck, fate, or the actions of others. Psychologists introduce the concept to understand personality traits and how they impact behavior. Research shows that people with a strong internal locus of control tend to be more resilient, motivated, and successful, while those leaning toward an external locus often experience higher stress and lower life satisfaction. Stoicism aligns closely with an internal locus of control. As Epictetus famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This idea reflects the Stoic emphasis on focusing energy only on what lies within our power: our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, while accepting what we cannot control with equanimity. Consider this: when a storm disrupts your plans, you can either curse the weather or adapt to the situation. The storm is beyond your control, but your response, whether frustration or flexibility, is entirely within your grasp. Where do you think you fall on the spectrum of locus of control, internal or external? Reflect on a recent challenge and ask yourself, did you take responsibility, or did you attribute it to external factors? Share your insights in the comments. Let's bring this idea to life with an example. Imagine two farmers during a drought. Both face the same external circumstance, an uncontrollable natural event. The first farmer blames fate, sinking into despair, waiting for rain. The second farmer focuses on what's within his control, finding alternative water sources, planting drought-resistant crops, and preparing for similar challenges in the future. Over time, the first farmer loses his livelihood, while the second farmer not only survives, but thrives because he took action within the bounds of his control. This story illustrates the power of an internal locus of control, not to avoid hardship, but to face it with determination and clarity. Understanding your locus of control can transform how you view life's challenges. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you can take ownership of your actions and responses. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Next, we'll explore how embracing this mindset can empower you to overcome challenges with practical, actionable steps inspired by the Stoics. This segment introduces locus of control comprehensively, while integrating psychological theory and Stoic wisdom, reinforced with visual and narrative elements to deepen engagement and retention to the Stoics. Understanding control was foundational to a virtuous and tranquil life. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, emphasized this in his meditations when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are as relevant today as they were 2 millennia ago. The Stoics taught that our well-being doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on our internal responses. They divided life into 2 categories: what we can control and what we cannot. For them, freedom comes from focusing solely on what lies within our control, our thoughts, actions, and decisions, while accepting everything else with grace. As Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This sentiment reminds us that our desires and expectations often lead to unnecessary suffering. By realigning our focus to the controllable, we reduce frustration and cultivate peace. Imagine losing a job. It's an undeniably stressful event, one that feels like the ground beneath you has shifted. A person leaning toward an external locus of control might spiral into self-pity, blaming the economy or unfair circumstances. But a Stoic-minded individual with an internal locus of control would approach the situation differently. They might channel their energy into building new skills, updating their resume, and networking to open new opportunities. The event hasn't changed, but their response transforms their trajectory. This practical application of Stoic wisdom demonstrates how reclaiming control over your mindset leads to growth, even in adversity. Marcus Aurelius quote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Seneca's quote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In ancient Rome, Marcus Aurelius dealt with challenges that would break most people: wars, political intrigue, and personal tragedies. Yet, through it all, he maintained composure. His secret? Focusing only on what he could control. During a devastating plague, rather than succumbing to despair, he worked tirelessly to manage the crisis, organizing resources and ensuring public safety. Marcus knew he couldn't stop the plague itself, but he could control his efforts and attitude in responding to it. Think about a recent challenge in your life. Did you focus on what you could control, or did external circumstances dominate your thoughts? Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear how you navigated it. The Stoics understood a timeless truth: the more we focus on what lies within our control, the more empowered and at peace we become. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Next, let's dive into how you can apply this principle daily to transform your mindset and build lasting resilience. This section seamlessly connects Stoic philosophy to the concept of control, enriched with historical context, modern analogies, and actionable insights to keep the audience engaged and reflective. Let me take you back to the harrowing story of Admiral James Stockdale, a U.S. Navy officer and one of the most remarkable embodiments of Stoic philosophy in modern history. In 1965, during the Vietnam War, Stockdale's plane was shot down over enemy territory. Captured and imprisoned in the infamous Ho Lo prison, later known as the Hanoi Hilton, he faced 7 long years of torture, solitary confinement, and psychological manipulation. His captors tried to break his spirit, but they underestimated his resilience and the depth of his philosophical grounding. Stockdale drew strength from the teachings of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who himself endured enslavement. Epictetus' core idea, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters," guided Stockdale through his ordeal. He focused on what he could control, his mindset and his integrity. He adopted what is now known as the Stockdale paradox, a powerful mental framework that combined unwavering faith in eventual triumph with the brutal acceptance of present realities. To maintain his humanity and inspire others, Stockdale resisted his captors by devising covert communication methods with fellow prisoners, including tapping codes on cell walls. He even disfigured himself to avoid being used in propaganda, ensuring he remained a symbol of resistance rather than submission. How would you handle such an extreme test of your willpower and resilience? Have you ever faced a situation where staying true to your values was your only choice? Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Admiral Stockdale's story teaches us that no matter how dire the circumstances, focusing on what you can control is the key to enduring and thriving. But how do we cultivate this mindset in our daily lives? Here are 3 practical steps to shift your focus toward an internal locus of control. Grab a piece of paper and make 2 lists. On one side, write down everything that's within your control, your reactions, decisions, and effort. On the other, list things outside your control, other people's opinions, outcomes, or external events. The goal: focus exclusively on the first list and let go of the second. Life's setbacks often feel like dead ends, but they're actually invitations to grow. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what's one thing I can learn or change in response to this? This simple shift turns obstacles into stepping stones. Take 5 minutes each night to journal. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where could I have improved? How did I respond to challenges? Reflection sharpens awareness and helps you identify patterns in your thinking. What's one thing on your list that's fully in your control? Write it down and share it in the comments. It's a great way to inspire yourself and others. Subscribe and don't forget to subscribe.